So, as we all know, this is Valentine's Day weekend, and we are going to look at the idea of daring to create love. A great love, not just any love, but a great love. And I know that for many of us, Valentine's Day brings up mixed emotions. For many of us who are in a loving, sacred, holy romance or a partnership, it's a lovely, lovely day. But for those who are not so much. But you can all be heartened today because we will not make it about daring to create a romantic relationship or romance. No. Although we will explore that, that will be part of it, it fits right in there. But rather we will address what it takes to create a great love all around us, to be the love, to absolutely connect with the love. Love is something we all want to experience. Everybody wants to be loved. I would think most people do. Because it is our divine nature. It is the essence of who we are. And because we will not make it about creating just a romantic love, we will make it about what is true love, the real love, the absolute love of all life. We are birthed from an infinite love that came on this earth plane to have tangible experiences of it. You're all here to feel the love, to be the love, and not to be obsessed by it in a not very healthy way, as some people are. But a lot of us really are obsessed about it. And if you're not sure about that, just look at the music industry. I mean, that's like going into our, as we call it, race consciousness, the music industry. For example, I want you to fill in the blanks. All you need is
love.
Yeah, everybody.
Love.
Thank you. You've lost that?
Love and feeling.
Yeah, I know, I'm going to sing it for you. Might as well face it.
I'm addicted to love.
Thank you. You can't hurry.
Love.
The look of
love.
How deep is your
Love.
When I fall
In love.
Finish that singing, that's good. I just can't stop
Loving you.
Yes, thank you. Oh, good. I just called to say
I love you.
you don't have to
Love.
say you love me. Stop. Thank you. And I will stop. But all of this has been coming. Those are the old ones. I mean, the new ones, I'm sure it's all in there in the rap and hip hop somewhere. So I don't really know what it's about, but we are programmed for this love. It's been programmed into us. So we could be here for a month discussing all the different ways the race consciousness has infiltrated our consciousness, romances, movies, books, all of it. But it's not always about that kind of love. But we're going to talk about a love that will bring us a deep soul satisfaction in our lives. And I think that's what we really want. Today, as this weekend of love, to me it's every day is a weekend, or the day of love. Not just a weekend, not just a day, but anyway. Commercially has it with the cards and all the other stuff. Besides, I get my own box of chocolates, so I'm kind of excited that it's Valentine's Day. Although I always have a box of chocolates, but I have another one. I'm out of chocolates, by the way. All right, I'm giving it to you. If you know me, that's not good. So this weekend of love, we will look at the kind of love that will bring deep soul satisfaction into our lives. The ancient Greeks spoke of several types of love. And a man named John Lee in the 1970s, did research around them. And so we're going to look at them briefly, very briefly, to lay some of the foundation for it today. As I describe these types of love, see which one that you kind of identify or experienced with, any kind of experience. Also, touch in whether this supported or hindered you from really expressing the love that you were born with. You might not have been born into it in your familia household, but you were born as a loving being. So the first one the ancient Greeks described was eros. So this is the Greek word for erotic or passionate love. This is a romantic love with deep intensity and longing. It's the type of love we mostly see in the movies. Thank you. Yes, in the movies. And it's not exactly or initially what attracts, and it's often what is initially attracting people to one another. It is also what Valentine's Day often celebrates. But here's the catch. There's a catch to that. Unless this deepens beyond this type of love, because that passes, it's going to be very difficult to get to a place of a peaceful, satisfying feeling of love in your life and to maintain it. For example, eros love would be in the movie The Titanic. We didn't get to see or know whether Jack and Rose continued their love. We just got the first part and then they drowned. But that kind of love, and the kind of people that are attracted to that kind of love don't usually stay in a relationship for long, because that passes, usually. So then it moves us on to ludus. Ludus, another type of love from the Latin word meaning sport, play, or conquest. Those who engage in the ludus type of love are often referred to as players. We've heard that. Oh yeah, he's a real player, she's a real player. Players, to play around. They have to have different people all the time, fun in the moment. And this challenges them, though, to be in a long-term, think if you know or if you are that person, to be in a long-term relationship. They often go from person to person when that other eros love passes. So that then, and we can think of the movie Casanova, right? Pragma is the next one, from the Greek word meaning practical. Now this is driven by the head, not the heart. And I used to have a lot of Korean friends when I was in martial arts. A lot of Korean friends. And they were from Korea. They all had arranged marriages. That would be that type of marriage, practical. From that practical, it's not coming from the heart whatsoever. And you can think of the movie, The Pride and Prejudice. Then we had mania. That word speaks for itself. Greek word meaning frenzy. This is on the opposite end of pragma. It is highly volatile type of love that focuses on obsession. And there's a deep need from the one practicing it to desperately know that they are loved. Extremely jealous, obsessive, possessive. Think of Fatal Attraction. It was a good movie. Glenn Close, right?
Yes.
And then it moves us on to philia. This is interesting. Characterized by brotherly or sisterly love, strong, deep friendships. Now, when I was researching this, I was like, well, Philadelphia, city of brotherly love. That's probably, I don't know, but it could be where they got the name from. I don't know.
Yes, they did.
They did. There. See? I was right. Thank you. And then we have storge, the Greek word meaning natural affection. And this is a type of love between parent and child, family devotion. Think of Deborah Winger and Shirley MacLaine in terms of endearment, that kind of love. But then there's another type of love. In fact, if you ask me, it really is the only type of love. The one that will, once you attain this connection, this love, this is where the happiness emanates from. This is where it emanates. I don't believe that there are different types of love. There's really only one. All the rest are either applications of it, such as storge or philia, or something else in love's clothing. But this one here, the only real type of love and the only thing that will bring deep and satisfying soul satisfaction and happiness is agape. Agape, that is the Greek word meaning divine or spiritual. It is selfless, altruistic love. It is pure and unconditional. Instead of seeing the security of being loved, agape simply desires to love. It's the love, to be the love. It is giving without asking anything in return. Agape is the form of love preached and ideally practiced by the world's greatest religions. Agape is the divine love that God shows for us, and which is in each and every one of us at our core. We were born as love. It's sometimes been shut down within us, but we ultimately were born out of this agape love. Pure, unfiltered love. So think for a moment of the master teacher Jesus. He practiced agape. So did Mother Teresa. When you think of her, she just went out and loved everybody, did not see conditions, did not make judgments, unconditional love. Agape love is what Emmett Fox was talking about when he wrote this. There is no, I love this, this is so good, Emmett Fox. There is no difficulty that enough love will not conquer. No disease that enough love will not heal. No door that enough love will not open. No gulf that enough love will not bridge. No wall that enough love will not throw down. No sin that enough love will not redeem. It makes no difference how deep-seated may be the trouble, how hopeless the outlook, how muddled the tangle, how great the mistake. A sufficient realization of love will dissolve it all, he said. If only you could love enough if only you could love enough, you would be the happiest, most powerful being in the world. That is just so profound, I believe. Really profound. To open up to agape love requires us to be authentic, to be really who we really are, which requires us to be vulnerable. Sometimes that's a big deal, to be vulnerable. Because it really is risky business to be authentic and vulnerable in the arena of love. Yet you've got to climb out to the end of the limb to find the fruit. The fruit is there. We have to take those chances. And here's an interesting idea from the mystic poet Rumi. He wrote, "Your task is not to seek love, but merely seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it." That is so the truth. I believe it's the truth for myself. I want to spend our next few moments together tearing down one significant barrier we create within ourselves that will absolutely prevent us from experiencing, giving, and receiving agape love. The barrier is fear of being judged. It's in a lot of us, isn't it? Even children, oh my goodness. You know, once they are, domesticated, as Don Miguel Ruiz would say, once they've been domesticated, then the biggest fear is being judged. You won't like me, this one will like me, or whatever it is. So, discernment is a wonderfully useful tool in our lives. Yet, this trait can be destructive when it turns into negative judgment. We are afraid to be authentic because we are afraid of being judged. And if we're not authentic, we can never experience real love. If we're not truly who we are and love ourselves as we are, we cannot experience true love. And if we never experience agape love, we will never truly be open for God. We can't let that divinity flow through us. We're shut up. We're shut up. And why do we fear being judged? Do you think it has anything whatsoever to do with how judgmental we might be? We do it all the time, right? Most of us, I do. People walk by, I've made up a whole story about them. I don't even know them. And they're gone. I only saw them for a second. And I have this whole thing in my head, judging. So let me give you an example of a life-transforming experience. Well, this comes from a minister friend. I didn't actually have this, but boy, this is pretty powerful. This is a minister colleague told me this a few years ago, how this story changed her life. She said this: "Let me give you an example of a life-transforming experience I had well over 20 years ago. If it were not for this experience, I would not be who I am today. And it was humiliating. It was terrifying. I always thought of myself as a nice person. In fact, to your face, I was very, very nice, very complimentary, very kind, but I wasn't underneath. Underneath, I had a lot of judgment. I was extremely critical. I didn't really realize this. It was just who I was. When we're unconscious, we don't realize all this stuff that's going on within us. But when we become aware, but as I began my spiritual journey, as this minister friend did, I began to see it. I began to recognize this about myself. And I didn't like it. I didn't like the way it felt. Not one bit. I wanted to get rid of it, be rid of it, but it wouldn't go away. I tried to stuff it, keep it hidden, but it was there, always, raising its ugly head. Then one night in a therapy group, I spoke into this circle of how I wanted to rid myself of this voice inside of my head that was so harsh and critical, cutting and cruel of others. I spoke about how I was realizing and being judgmental and how it was holding me back from being the spirit-centered person I wanted to be, and how it was preventing me from ever experiencing love in any deep, meaningful way. So the therapist, who was brilliantly intuitive, set up an exercise. After telling the rest of the women, this is a women's group, in the group, how important this was for my growth, and asking them if they would support me, even if it was painful for them, to which they all said yes. And then she had me place them physically in a pyramid, like probably on the floor, not on top of each other, on how I judge them, right? From the bottom to the top. Those I judged harshly, and the therapist had me say why I judged them. Example, one used, terrible grammar. I know some people go crazy over that. I myself make up words, so I don't really care. But some people judge that, okay? Another judge, clothing and shoes, that they were old, torn, tattered, they just didn't look right. Another couldn't hold down a job. They were all on the bottom. And the one on the top was an elegant, groomed, articulate woman. The others were all in the middle. She said this was one of the most gut-wrenching experiences I have ever had. Having to say out loud what I thought, how I judged them, was excruciatingly painful. Seeing the expressions on their faces, I placed them in order and told them why they were in that position was haunting. In addition, I became completely vulnerable to their judgments and criticisms of me, and that terrified me. So what happened? What happened after I got over my shame and mortification of who I was? I got to see I could be loved even when I was being horribly judgmental. Because as painful as it was for the women to have that experience, they loved me enough to go through it. They didn't criticize me back. They simply loved and accepted me. They offered me agape love. And I believe that was the first time I ever truly experienced it, unconditional love. The result of that exercise, she said, was that the critical and harshly judgmental voice I had in my head turned into a compassionate and caring voice. The care and concern I had for those women and everyone else deepened 100-fold as a result of it. I peeled away that barrier of judgment to experience, give, and receive agape love. And I realized that this experience that my minister friend had was being authentic, and it was like being authentic and vulnerable on steroids. I mean, that's a really big exercise to undertake, but she did it and was loved anyway. We're not going to do anything like that here today. But I'm wondering if you would be willing to do something with me this morning. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, unconditionally, Michael says yes. So if you are, think of some way that you've been judgmental of another, and then form just one brief sentence about it. Some examples could be, I judged the grocery clerk for being too slow. Could be, I internally criticized a friend for her choice of food when she tells me she's on a diet. Just examples. I found fault with a decision so-and-so made about fill in the blank. This one's particularly for me. I thought blank about that driver that just cut me off, or that driver that's driving so slow in the left lane. It's crazy. I'm still working on it. But though that's a judgment. Yeah, that's a judgment already. I don't know what's going on in these people's minds and their lives, but I'm judging, right? So you don't need to say who you judged when you don't have to get that specific, just enough so that you get in touch with your own judgment. Everybody have like a sentence? Short one? No, everyone here doesn't judge. Not one person here judges, right? Okay. If you are willing, I'd like us all to, well, I just said mine, say it out loud at the same time, okay? So let's say it right now. Together. Come on.
All right.
You don't have to raise your, everybody at the same time so we don't hear it.
Okay.
See, one more time for good measure. There you go. And so, see, it's like a bunch of just words when we just hear it. We don't hear it. But we always, that's what we do. We judge. Now take a really deep breath, because we're going to just heal that a bit. I'll have to remember this for myself. Place your hands over your heart, and you're going to repeat this after me. I'm okay, and I deserve to be loved.
I'm okay and I deserve to be loved.
I'm okay, and I deserve to give love.
I'm okay and I deserve to give love.
I'm okay. In fact, I am agape love.
I'm okay. In fact, I am agape love.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are, each and every one. And that, my friends, is the truth. The spiritual truth of you. The spiritual truth of each and every one of us is deep down. Even the people that we deem to be the most evil, wicked people, whatever it is. Someone called me up, a minister friend, yesterday. And what did she ask? Oh, do I believe in Satan? And I was like, why are you asking this? And she told me the story behind it. And I said, could be just raised consciousness. You know, that she was feeling that this was real. And she got really upset with herself. And the thing is, we're tapped into an entire race on this planet. And we don't even know what else. And that's what we call raised consciousness. And that affects us. That affects our thinking. It affects every part of us. So we're moving beyond that. We are accepting that agape love is pure divine love. So in his book, Deepak Chopra, I would like to close it with this. The Path of Love, to Love, in his book, Deepak Chopra's book, The Path to Love, he offers some really beautiful words of what love really means to him. And this kind of sounds like Emmett Fox a little bit, the description I gave you a little while ago. So I want to read this to you. Leave you in a loving, that loving feeling. Love is meant to heal. Love is meant to renew. Love is meant to make us safe. Love is meant to inspire us with its power. Love is meant to oust all fear. Love is meant to bring peace. Love is meant to harmonize differences. Love is meant to bring us closer to God. Just breathe that in. That's the kind of love we want every day, every minute, every second, every hour of every day, as much as we can. Love is the pathway for us to be open to that divine love. So my friends, are you ready to dare to create great love? And if you are, to release judgment of yourself. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
If you're like me, which I think a lot of you are. Boy, do we really judge ourselves? Holy moly. First, we have to love ourselves enough to stop judging ourselves. Release that judgment of us as best we can, and others. It can be our greatest challenge, and it can offer us our greatest rewards. So I say, from this moment forward, let love guide us. Let love lead the way. And so it is.
And so it is.